Welcome everyone. It's already 12 o'clock. So I think we could slowly start. So welcome everyone during our ESPD conference to inclusive education and beyond. And I would just to share with you the basic technical information. So there is captioning that you can reach by clicking on the button on the control bar on the bottom of your screen. If you have comments or questions, please share them in the chat and please remain muted. And that's for everyone, also from people from ESPD. Please mute yourself, everyone. And then the second part of the workshop will be more interactive. So then we'll gladly hear what you have to say, and then we'll ask you questions and etc. So welcome again. Julia can stop sharing the screen. My name is Magdalena Verseckas, and I'm a project officer in ESPD. I'm responsible for technology. I'm preparing applications and implementing projects. And at the same time, I'm coordinating ENTELIS Plus project. And I would like to tell you a few words about this great project. So maybe first, how we came up with this idea. It's the idea of creating ENTELIS Plus project was people in their knowledge of technicality. Muted.
I'm trying to find the right place to do this. I'm sorry, I am a little bit confused about this, but I hope that I am both sharing my screen and I am now also with my microphone on. So that's all good. Thank you. Thank you, Magdalena, for this introduction, and thanks for having me here. My name is Susanna Loren. I'm the Chief Research and Innovation Officer of a small accessibility consultancy called Funka, and we are very happy to be partners in this project. And I am making this presentation on behalf of one of my colleagues who unfortunately couldn't be here today. So I apologize for not being super well prepared for this because I'm just jumping into it right now. But I do know the project and I've been working with this material, so it shouldn't be a big problem, but I'm sure my colleague John would have done a better job. So I would like to tell you a little bit about the background around all of this. So the training material is based on the fact that the World Health Organization is estimating that approximately 15% of the population has some kind of disability. And the training material that we have developed is also aimed to support people with disabilities and also service providers and other groups that are interested in providing better accessibility for everyone. So we have 5 significant phases of this project, where we did some research, and then we developed the training materials. And right now we are in the phase where we are piloting the training material, or we are just starting to pilot the training material. And then after that phase, we will also develop the community of practice and consolidate the results. And during the whole process, we are of course also disseminating the results of the project like we are doing right now. So we have been developing the training materials, and we are sort of testing it in real life to see how it works, what can be improved, and then we can also evolve it even more in the end. So when it comes to development of the training materials, we have been doing, in essence, 3 different tasks to provide the basis of the training material. So we have gathered the external stakeholder views using consultation questionnaires. And we have also looked at existing courses, curricula, handbooks, reports, policy documents, and other things that are out there. So really, what existing. And then, of course, we looked at the needs from the project's partners, the pilots. So they have all different target groups and training needs, and involvement of different target groups means that they need a little bit different things, all the partners. So how can we combine that into something that is useful for all partners? So we have done also some needs surveys around the training providers. And then we have gone through a kind of a research process where we have we have developed the material based on the needs and the resources we have found out there. And then we have also done peer review process with the partners. So we have done a lot of collaboration and co-creating processes within the project, and then also validation workshops with external experts that we have invited to a small advisory board, and we got very good input also from them. So that's another stage of validation. And then, of course, we will have this open discussion on the content continuously, I think, while the piloting is happening. And also now, you're welcome to say whatever you like after this little presentation as well. And we hope that more and more people will use the training material, and that we will get more input that way, so that it can keep improving over time. So we have 2 sections in the material that we are providing. The first section is the training preparation. So here the focus is on making sure that the training providers has a good preparation material and everything that should be taken into account when we talk about accessibility, of course, and to make sure that we have a successful training program. The second section is the support of the trainer, where we provide the training modules, so the actual content, and also guides on how the trainer and the learning processes will get most out of the material that we provide. So to support this, we also have additional information and links to external sources, because the more we do inside of the material in the technical space, then things will be updated and the material can soon be out of date. So all the sort of technical specifications, we link out to other sources instead, so that it keeps being updated and relevant for hopefully many years to come. In the first section, the training preparation phase, we do have many different things taken into account. So we want to provide a flexible approach to learning, while again, the pilot have very different situations and contexts to provide this in. So it's possible to do, because of the pandemic, we now do most things online, of course, but we want to provide the baseline for the trainings to be also possible to provide online or face-to-face, because sooner or later this pandemic will be over and we will all meet again, hopefully. So we have the training material is designed in such a way that they can be used both taught face-to-face, online, or blended learning, depending on the situation. And we do have taken into account that we have a very heterogeneous target audiences, again, as the pilots have different priorities. So that means also that the material need to be very flexible and dynamic, and also possible to localize. We also try to make sure that the training material is possible to do both as guided training and also self-learning, or a mixture of both approaches. So there is a training support on this, and also a guidance on how potential trainers can use the material. And then we also have exercises and further reading material to make sure that learners in different levels can get the most out of the material. And it's also really possible to use on your own, should you prefer that. The modules can be divided into basic and advanced modules. We didn't want to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you need to do it in this order, but we wanted to make sure that to provide as much flexibility as possible, it's possible to pick and choose the ones that are most suitable for you. But we did divide them in 2 groups. So there are basic and advanced modules, and you can do them in any order you want, but the advanced modules do go a little bit more into the details. So we kind of recommend to start with the basic ones. And we have one module which on the advanced level that is called Roadmap for Professional Development and Potential Professional Certifications in ICT Accessibility. And that module provides information on how to become an ENTELIS Plus trainer. So naturally that works best if you have done the other modules first. We have strived for making these training materials as multimodal as possible, to combine text with images and videos and so on. And we are currently also creating more videos to go with the training materials. So that would be an add-on after this. And we also do provide real life examples. So to show how accessibility is being implemented and how it has been successful in different markets and places, just to make sure that we have more real life feel to the training material. And this can be seen in the accessibility in action parts of the training material. We haven't specified how the duration of the training, that is very intentional, because this again may be decided on a case-by-case basis. And then we go to the training preparation. So when we do face-to-face training again, I don't think anyone is doing that right now, unfortunately, but we will soon. We have this section on training preparation. So we included very important information on the preparation for face-to-face training, like how to get to the venue where the training takes place, providing directions in an accessible manner, ensuring that accessibility is there in the approach to the venue and clear indications inside of the house or venue and so on, and then how you prepare the room where the training is taking place, the placement of furniture, the lighting, the acoustics, those kind of things. And then also flexibility and multimodality again, how the learner can sort of choose and decide the format that is most fitting for the student, and then some teaching strategies around how to maybe communicate with people with different disabilities and so on. So that's the training preparation part of this. I just need to make sure that I'm not talking for too long. There are many advantages of doing things online, of course, and now more and more of us are providing a lot of training online, and also other things are happening online these days. And this is a fantastic possibility for people with disabilities, but that is provided that everything that is done online is accessible. So there is a need to choose an accessible video conferencing tool if this is the style of your training, of course. So we have some information about how to choose the right tool, and also other kind of accessibility issues when it comes to online training. So how to take into account that people need that maybe support for taking notes, or how fast things goes, the need for having a break, and so on. Really a lot of guidance on that. And then of course the accessibility of the digital formats provided. So if you choose to have PowerPoint presentations or Word or whatever format you use, that digital format also needs to be accessible. So we have short guidance on how to make sure that is provided. And each of the 5 training modules have a common structure, if you will. So in all modules, it's easy to find the additional reading material if you want to go in depth or something or find more details. You have the real life examples, where we also provide information on what is happening out there in the real world and success stories. And then we have the practical exercises and questions. And we have made some small icons of this, showing this, so that you can find the same part in each module and get back to, if you want to do all the exercises in one go, or if you want to have all the real life examples and so on, you can find it easily in the combination of the same structure and also these icons. And we do think it's a good thing to sort of combine the theory with also exercises and real life examples. So getting into the specific modules, one module, I can't say the first one because there's no particular ordering, but one of them gives an introduction to accessibility, and maybe here is where many people start. And this is aiming to teach participants to gain a basic understanding of accessibility as kind of a concept, to gain knowledge about the diverse groups who accessibility can affect, and to spot basic accessibility issues, and also identify the tools that are good tools or devices and software that can be used to enhance accessibility. Also to understand the benefits of accessibility for any organization or at the individual part or for society, and also to understand what we mean with inclusive design. So an example of what we provide here is the idea that the accessibility is when all individuals, regardless of ability, are able to participate in society in an independent way. This could cover anything from being able to move and orient oneself in the physical environment to absorbing information and performing services online. But this is also about being treated well and having a chance to communicate on your own terms. Accessibility is about the whole life and the whole person. So this is one example of a topic discussed in this introductory module. Another example is more technical. It has to do with the color contrast. So we provide an example of how what contrast you need between the background and the text to be able to be readable for most people. And also there's a standard around this. There are legal requirements for a public sector website and so on. So there is technical requirements for this. And there are also tools that can be used, online free tools that can be used to check if something has a good color contrast or not. So we give examples for this and also sort of practical hands-on recommendations on how to work with it. The second or another module is that we have is about more empowerment of people with disabilities, where we have some learning objectives really showing how to make the difference or understand the difference between legislation and standards, and to be able to differentiate between different types of legislation. Also to be aware of the rights for people with disabilities offered through legislation and the UN Convention and so on. And then also the possibility to be aware of obligations that public sector authorities and others have on accessibility, and how you can be involved in this work. So some groups start with the legal part and some start with the other introduction, and that's absolutely okay, both of them. So we have examples even here. So the real life examples, for example, one of them is Google, who has done a lot for accessibility, and they are legally required to do some things, but they're really going beyond that. So they're designing for people with disabilities as kind of a return on inclusion, where some of the accessibility issues that Google has tackled through their own innovation is to look into these contrast minimums, so that nothing is provided in a sort of lower level contrast rate than provided. They have these autocomplete. If you type something in the search field and you don't know how to end the word, then it will give you suggestions. So that's really good for people with reading and writing difficulties and bad memory, or anyone, or if you are searching for something in another language. There's also a voice control built into Google, and everything that is done in Google is really based on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and it is helping us. We don't think about it, but it is helping us a lot, and sometimes giving us examples and suggestions that we didn't know we wanted. But it's a powerful tool and using a lot of built-in features to enhance accessibility. So Google is really a good example for something that is beneficial to all and made to also make sure that the basic services they provide are accessible. So we have the third module on assistive technology, where the learning objectives is to gain an overview of the different types of assistive technology available and how they are used, and to provide insight into the built-in support that exists for accessibility. Not everything is sort of external assistive technology that needs to be bought or provided by somebody. A lot of things are nowadays included in the technology we have. We also want to provide knowledge about how to increase the knowledge of where to obtain assistive technology and the different systems that operate in Europe. There are different ways of getting these tools. And to gain awareness regarding the affordability of assistive technology and the ability to select the appropriate technology according to user needs. And of course, also the possibility to identify assistive technology for different target audiences. So the example we have here, just one of the examples that we show is from Facebook, so another of the large technology providers, where, for example, they have one of their really cool technologies that they provide is automatic image recognition based on artificial intelligence. And this is when you need to, if you provide a photo of something, which we do all the time in social media and also in other digital channels, for that to be readable or understandable for a person with low vision and screen reader, you need to provide an alternative text description of the meaning or the purpose of the photo or the image. And many people forget to do this or don't know how to do it. So Facebook and others, this is also included in PowerPoint and Word and many other software, where just Facebook is one of the examples. They provide an automatic suggestion to this alternative text description, so that you actually get a suggestion provided automatically based on image recognition. And that can be quite good. Sometimes it's not perfect, of course, but it's an educated guess, and it really provides a learning process for the content creator. Because what we have seen in our user tests is that when a content creator gets a suggestion for the alternative text description, and that is not really what I intended with my image, or it doesn't fit, then it's much more likely that the content creator does correct the alt text. And if the suggestion is not popping up, then they will just leave it empty. So even if it's not perfect, it does show that it becomes much more easy for the web authors to do the right thing. And we strongly believe that this is a learning process, and it will, after a while, it will become sort of natural that you correct your alternative text description recommendations. There are negative sides of this, of course, also in small languages. We are in Sweden. In Swedish, this doesn't really work very well, but I'm sure it will. If you look at the how, for example, automatic captioning has evolved over the years, that is now also very good in many languages that are not English or Spanish or Chinese. So the technology is really helping people here, and it moves fast. So a lot of good examples. Also, again, this is where Facebook is going beyond the legal requirements and in innovating things that helps and supports accessibility. So the next module is sort of the fourth one. Here we have some learning objectives that has to do with gaining an overview of how to produce accessible digital content. And also to discover how to create specific content in different formats. So text, images, video, audio, PowerPoint, PDF, and etc. So in this module, you can also learn how to carry out a quick and easy accessibility check of a website, just to know that the basics are there, and to understand the difference between plain language and easy to read, for example. And this training module also highlights the importance of multimodality, and less is more concept and so on, to provide better support for people with cognitive disabilities. It also introduces a little basis on how to co-create things as a tool to work together with the target audiences. So really involving users in your work to make sure that it fits all the user needs in one go. And just some examples of what we learn in this module. I hope you can see this. So this is just an example about readability. So for those of you who can see the screen, to the left we have a good example and to the right a bad example. So this has to do with unjustified text, which is really much easier for readability, and justified text, which is when the left and right are the same and aligned and everything is sort of in a box. That is very much harder for people to read. And this is not only for people with reading and writing disabilities or dyslexia, but it's also proven to be that you read faster when you have the unjustified text. Even a sort of good reader reads faster. Another example for creating accessible content is the line spacing. And again, we have a good example to the left and a bad example to the right. So line spacing is extremely important, just to give your text a little bit more air is important, and it makes it much easier to read a text. And it also, usually designers think this is a good idea because it looks better as well. But really for readability, line spacing is extremely important as well. And we also do connect these to standards. There are tools, there are supporting documents, and there are technical specifications for this if you want more details. So that is all in the modules. Yeah, and the last example is for the alternative text descriptions that I mentioned before. And this is something that people sometimes struggle with. What am I supposed to write as my alternative description? And that really depends, because the same image or the same photo can be used in different contexts. So it really, what do you want to show? In this image, there's a stairs, long stairs going into the sky or something, I don't know, very high at least, and a person in a wheelchair who can't enter the stairs. So one suggested alt text for this image could be a person in a wheelchair at the bottom of a set of stairs and 2 escalators. So that is really describing what it is. But if this would be made in a, I don't know, an article that has to do with discrimination, maybe the alt text could have been something else. Could have been that this is what happens if you don't follow the standards. I mean, you could have different meanings and ideas with the same picture, or this could be an article about this particular person who we don't really see in this picture, but it could be that the name is interesting, or that it's really about, the whole thing has to do with how the wheelchair looks. So the meaning of the photo is really, or the image is really important to take into account when you describe it in your alt text. It's not only what is there, but what is your idea with the image? What do you want to, information do you want to reveal? And when people say, oh, it's so cumbersome and we don't have the time and I don't know how to do this and this is hard and everything, but when we start working with web authors and try to make sure that they do work with their alt texts, that really enhances the way they work with images at all. And it teaches them a lot, because when you need to describe your image and think, why did I choose this image? And what is the meaning of this? That also raises the quality of the photos that you actually use. So it's a good thing also, not only for accessibility, but also for the quality of the whole approach to working with images. And of course, text and image in combination with audio and video, that's the best thing, because then you really reach as many as possible. So try to use as many formats as you can. We have another example here about captioning. So when you work with video is extremely strong and very good, because we know there are many people who struggle with reading, but for a video content to be accessible for everyone, you need to provide captioning. And today we have fantastic live captioning at this webinar. And that is, of course, the best alternative. Sometimes that may not be possible because of time constraints or resources. And there are now very good automatic captioning as well that can be used in certain circumstances, of course. And you can use the automatic captioning and then correct it afterwards to get a better flow of things than if you don't have the time to do the subtitling yourself. So for different, if it's live, if it's a lot of dialogue, or if it's something you prepare for a long time, then you can use different tools or different services to make this happen. But there is no reason not to caption. that's really, you need to do it, and it's extremely useful for, or necessary for many people. And today there are so many different ways of doing this, so there's just no way to say no. So the last one of the training parts modules that I am going to present is the one that I mentioned before, the roadmap for professional development in ICT accessibility. So this is really a way to present how to, if you want to take this to another step and also become an ENTELIS Plus trainer yourself, then we provide the roadmap for professional development, and also connected to the possibility to getting certified and other resources out there, and how to make sure that you provide the universal design for learning, which is another kind of concept or principle really important to know when you do training on accessibility. And then we have, of course, a lot of tools and resources and connections to other courses and body of knowledge and so on. So this is more of an outward, external reaching module in this. Yeah, and we have an example here as well for how to become an ENTELIS Plus trainer. So that is really for participants who have taken the ENTELIS Plus course first, and then we provide supporting material for the trainers. And it's the possibility for anyone who wants to share the knowledge onwards. So if you are interested in this, we are happy to welcome you on board the ENTELIS Plus train, or I don't know how to call it, but in the group, we are a lot of people who care about accessibility, and we are happy to share with everyone. And again, please do share your thoughts about the training material, and please try it out in your organizations and get back to us with what we can improve later on. So I just wanted to show our email addresses before I leave the floor back to Magdalena. If you want to contact us, then Magdalena is I think the go-to person in EASPD, and also Ilaria, who will talk to us in a while. And of course, you're also welcome to reach out to me. And I hope we will also provide these slides to the participants, so you can have all the email addresses there, so I don't need to read them out loud to you. So with that, I want to give the floor back to Magdalena, who will show a video.
Thank you very much, Susanna, for this very interesting presentation of our materials. And everything what Susanna said, and why we do this training, why we created this training materials, is to bridge that digital divide. And that's why we decided to create this campaign, Right to Connect Now, that you can see behind me, behind my colleagues, Ilaria and Sarah. And I would like to show you a video describing this, this campaign we created, which we also invite you to participate by using hashtag Right to Connect Now. So I will now share with you my screen. Just a second. Well, do you hear and see everything? No, Ilaria, you don't see.
I see, but I don't hear.
No, there's no audio.
Okay. So maybe what I will do,
If you go to your top bar and go to the more and the 3 dots, go down and share sound.
Share sound. Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Participates in modern society.
Replay it. Voila.
Digital skills are fundamental to meaningfully participate in modern society. The ENTELIS Plus project, co-funded by the European Union's Erasmus Plus program, was born to facilitate inclusion of persons with disabilities by providing them with adequate digital skills. To emphasize the importance of inclusion through technology, we launched the Right to Connect Now campaign. It is an invitation for persons with disabilities and for those active in the disability sector to raise their voices. We invite you to share how technology has changed your life. We want to know how it makes your life easier. Tell us how it allows you to work or study. Show us how it makes you happy. Tell us your story. Use the hashtag #RightToConnectNow and show why digital skills and technology are important for persons with disabilities and older people.
So that's our video, and now I'll give the floor to Ilaria, who will tell you a bit more about our training materials and piloting, because at the moment we created the materials, the first draft, and now we'll be piloting them in 4 pilot countries, and then we'll create the final version, which we'll make public for everyone. So I give the floor to Ilaria. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdalena. Thank you, Susanna, for this great presentation. So this is my moment, I can say. So I'm Ilaria Valatti from IES Bologna, and I'm one of the 4 pilot partners. As Magdalena said, we are going to localize, translate, and test the training material during this year till October. So materials will be tested in Italy from IAS, in Ireland, from St. John of God Community, in Austria with the Tempo, and in Greece with our partner Margherita. And I want to talk to you about that because as there was this pandemic, this COVID situation, a lot of this training will be done online. So if any of you will be participate and integrate this training workshop and session, we will be really glad to open the door to other people as well. So the program will be done by each pilot partners, but you can contact me and then I can share the contact and information about localization of the training. So this is the next step. And today, I mean, the next moment, the next 20 minutes, we can say will be something more interactive, because for us as well, it's a good chance to have all of you here to talk and to discuss about the issue of the digital accessibility. So what I want to propose is to make a short pool, like an interactive pool, and we'll get the occasion to talk each other and to know about habits, use, and opportunities on digital accessibility as well. So maybe Tom, can you share the first question? Okay, so I kindly ask everyone if can answer. So I will read the question as well. So does your organization website follows the guidelines for an accessible digital design? Yes, no, I don't know. If you can kindly ask answer this question. I don't know, Tom, when it is close the time, you can tell me.
Maybe it's okay. Wow, bravo.
Okay, perfect. So we can say 46% of persons say yes, which is not so bad results, I can say. And but we have also some people, they don't know, or they think they're not accessible. The accessibility of the website is one important step to improve the digital accessibility of an organization and to really spread the content of what we do to a larger number of people. And I don't know if you know any of these free tools we presented before that we can use to check the accessibility of our website. did you use something? People say yes. Have you already tried to analyze and check your website or the organization website you work in? Do you know? I don't know if you know every one of these tools or not. You can maybe write down in the chat if you have any suggestion. We talk about one of that, which is a color contrast analyzer, for example. Okay. Okay, this is another one. WAVE, Web Accessibility Evaluation Tool, that we can find online. And there is other as well that we present in the training, but you can use this kind of free access tool to check and evaluate the accessibility of the website. So maybe go for the next question, Tom. When drafting a document, do you follow the main guidelines of digital accessibility? For example, definition of document structure, application of styles, choice of accessible font, or alternative text in images? Always, sometimes, rarely, or never? Sometimes. So 60% of 60% persons say sometimes. This is a useful way to make accessible documents. I mean, it's like an habit that everyone can really integrate in his practice every day. We can do that with next question, Tom, please. With some courses, because not everyone knows how to do that. And this is one of the objectives of this training, ENTELIS Plus course. So we don't know exactly how it's usual in organization to get this kind of course of training. So we are really interested to know what about you. So in your organization, were any courses dedicated into the topic of digital accessibility have been organized? Yes, no, not yet, but some are planned in the near future, or I do not know. Okay, so I can see that some persons say yes, others say not yet, but some are planned in the next future. People, the answer about that, can they share their experience maybe? Which kind of course they will do? I mean, can you, if someone want to share about that? Anyone want to share their experience just to know a little bit better about this kind of classes or courses that have been organized inside your organization? Or they will?
I could just say that maybe there is not so much awareness of need of this kind of courses, and I think that's why maybe it's so good that we are we created this campaign, because we could see in the results that not so many people know that there is a need, or they don't know how to do it. And I think that maybe second obstacle could be that they are quite expensive, this type of courses. So maybe that's the covering the cost of these courses it's also a problematic. That's why so many organizations haven't had them yet.
Okay, Sarah, if you wanna, yeah. The last year has highlighted the huge gap in digital skills, both for people with disability and support organizations. This is definitely a point that it can improve as well the need of this kind of digital accessibility for all of us. Thank you, Katie. Thank you very much. Next question, Tom. So, do you think ENTELIS Plus training materials will be useful in your organization? Yes, for all my colleagues. Yes, for some of my colleagues. No, or I don't know. Okay, we can say yes, which is really good for us. I mean, we are really glad that this project, my interest and this training materials can interest people and colleagues, and yes, all colleagues, so it's not specific departments or area, but it can be useful for a different kind of profile. And last question. It concerns what Magdalena said before as well. So we would like to know what are the main obstacles and difficulties to implement the training in your organization. So we say maybe not enough time, no budget, not enough interest in the subject, not adequate competencies, or I do not see any obstacles. Okay, here we are a little bit splitted. So not enough time, no budget, and not enough interest in subject, which is why we create as well as this campaign, really to raise awareness about that, about the importance to create a digital accessibility. This was the last question, and maybe I can open the floor if anyone want to ask something more in details or want to share other experience they are working on. One of the we got in the chat another project, but I think the person who wrote down Regis, he had to leave, but we can say this IDA project as well. They're working on inclusive digital, yeah, it's an academy. Maybe someone else want to share this project they're working on, for example.
Or maybe also special needs that you think are the most important, or the most important aspects of this training for your organization. Also, is as you said, all that this training materials would be interesting for you. I pasted again in the chat the link to our website, so feel free to follow it. In the final version of training materials should be there in the beginning of autumn. And you can also contact us and request these training materials. If you are afraid that you will forget about it, feel free to contact us, and then we will send them to you or remind when they will be ready.
I have a question, if that's okay. To which extent have you engaged with public authorities to sort of promote your training mechanism?
One of our partners is the European Association of Border Regions. And for example, now we are organizing a webinar, an event dedicated for municipalities and regional authorities. And also we are preparing a policy recommendations document, which will be ready also in the autumn, and we will share it widely. Okay, so do you have, if there are no more questions and no more comments?
I think there's a question from the crowd. There's a hand.
Sorry, I didn't see.
Yes, I have a question. To which extent do we, is the digital gap being filled amongst older teachers? Because a lot of teachers may be a little bit old, so they may not be as equipped to deal with digital technology within the classroom.
Ilaria, do you want to answer? Should I reply? Well,
no, I mean, you can reply. What we can say, what I can say, that we are doing this training test as well in cooperation, in Italy with the local office for teachers and training. So we can say that we are testing as well these kind of stakeholders. But I don't know about how many time we'll need to bridge this digital gap. So maybe here I can ask my colleagues if they have some data about that.
Yeah, I can jump in. This is Susanna. We have done quite a lot of research during the pandemic on this, and we do a lot of work on schools and education and universities, so educational system on different levels. And there may be, at least in some countries, that the digital divide has a lot to do with age, but that is certainly not always the case. And I would say that teachers in general, I wouldn't say they have a low competence in the digital arena, but they have a lot of other things on their plate and they can't be experts in everything. So when we all of a sudden turned into online training, that became a real challenge for many teachers on different levels, even if they are interested in technologically aware. It's really hard to also all of a sudden become an accessibility expert and be able to just transfer everything that you usually did face-to-face into online. That has been a big challenge. And I also know that many teachers on different levels say that they have problems choosing the right tools, and they have very little support. So I think there is a big challenge here for teachers on many sort of there's a whole ecosystem of potential challenges here, that what is out there, what costs money, what do you need to procure, you need the knowledge to do it, you need to combine the right tools to the right student and so on. And really this is a whole, I think this is another project to bridge that divide as well, but that is certainly needed. And also I think it looks different in different regions and in different educational levels as well, but there is a big challenge here and really a need for more knowledge and more support, I think, for teachers for them to be able to do their job in a good way. They need more tools and resources, but also support on how to handle all these tools. The technology is out there. It's really, we just need to know how to use them. It's not that we need more tech tools. It's the human computer interaction that's where the gap is, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. I think that also our materials can be used by teachers. Yeah, it's not said that they are only for service providers for persons with disabilities. They can be, in our opinion, they can be used by anyone theoretically. So, and that's also why we are presenting them here on this educational conference. Are there any more questions or comments? Okay. Thomas?
Yeah.
For many people, they follow the training and then they implement the, what they've learned, but probably only for a certain limit of time. And then after a while, their usual habits, come back to a certain extent, either because they're overworked or for different reasons. In terms of how would you advise directors or the bosses of organizations to make sure that their staff continue implementing these practices, these principles over time, and not just for like 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month? Or is this an issue at all?
Yeah, I do believe it's an issue. So when we do support organizations to become more accessible, we always start with the processes. So you need to have an organization that know what they're doing, and you need to build the structure for that. And again, I think tools and support, it's not only about training things. And I agree, Magdalena, of course, you can do the training and the teacher, the material is very good for teachers. But I mean, it's a lot of things around just getting to know that this exists. If I don't have the time to do it, or if I don't have the knowledge on how to make things really accessible, then it just becomes overwhelming. So I think the organizations or the directors, the people deciding over the budget, they also need to provide the resources to make this happen. And to succeed, you need to make accessibility not a project, not something you do 1 week or 1 month or even 1 year, but something that is built into the day-to-day work. That is the only way to succeed, because you will never be finishing. You can't say, check, now we're accessible and now we can move on to gender equality for a while. That doesn't work, because you need to keep doing accessibility all the time, because the technology keeps evolving and the assistive technology evolves and everything. It's a moving target. So you need, the processes are extremely important to keep in place. And if you can get the directors to know this and the management level to understand how important it is, then it's usually built into the system, and then it can actually work in a good way. But you need to have really a long-term goal for this, and not just fix the, oh my God, now this student is complaining over this and then I need to fix that. That really doesn't, that's not sustainable. So the processes are really, really important.
Thank you very much, Susanna. Any more questions? We have still 3 minutes left. Do you have time for a last question? No? Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you, all participants. Please feel free to go to our website to check what we have there, and to contact us if you have any questions, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For those who are still here, unfortunately, the accessibility, we weren't in time to do it. So just to inform people that the conference will continue tomorrow morning at 9:30 for day 3. So please join us again tomorrow for another exciting morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Julia, did you get some final remarks?
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, I will draft the reporting soon.